Welcome to Our Plant Stories. It's Saturday morning and 15 people have found their way to a community garden in North London. In the distance, you can hear the cheers of 56,500 people who have found their way to the Arsenal women's football game, just around the corner at the Emirates Stadium. But in a summer house in the garden, a very different kind of community singing is about to happen. I had a lovely message this week from a listener in Sweden saying how much they enjoy hearing about garden history in the podcast. And we're gathered here to learn about, sing and compose glees, the songs that were sung at gatherings of horticulturists and florists going back to the 1750s with the florists in the tavern after market day. It's hard to imagine that happening today. We're being led by Francesca Murray, who we met back in Series 2, Episode 4, when she was working on her PhD, now completed. She is an academic who is interested in 19th century forgotten gardeners. And Osnat Schmool, who is a singer, composer, musical director, and co-artistic director of Filament Theatre in East London. So I hope, for the next 15 minutes with the help of Francesca and Osnat, you can imagine yourself sat amongst feasting gardeners and florists, singing their glees.
It's right here. I heard a bird sing in the dark of December, a magical thing, and sweet to remember. We are nearer to spring than we were in September. I heard a bird sing in the dark of December. I'm not expecting you to remember all of it. There's in little chunks, little favourable chunks. Here's the first part. I heard a bird sing in the dark of December. I heard a bird sing in the dark of December. A magical thing and sweet to remember. A magical thing and sweet to remember. We are nearer to spring than we were in September. We are nearer to spring than we were in September. I heard a bird sing in the dark of December.
Well, we've been in a wonderful location in London, the Oldham Community Gardens, on a lovely autumn November day, and we've been looking at the history of gardeners' glees, and we've been creating our own gardeners' glees with Osnat Schmool, and this really comes from a heritage of friendly societies and their meetings, and also florist societies, which were set up from the 17th century to celebrate flowers. And also what the connection between the two societies is that the friendly societies traditionally used to parade through their village or town with these lovely poles, and they would florally decorate them. So what we've been doing is creating glees and listening to glees and talking about them, and then we've also been composing one ourselves, and then we've also done some floral decorations to proudly show that we are happy that autumn is here and to celebrate forestry.
When did glees get lost, disappear?
That's a really good question, and I think that certainly people have sung in the garden and in the countryside since time immemorial, as it were. And we used to have, obviously, music was written down. As Osnat suggests, it's all pitched quite high, which is fun. Only a musician would probably notice that. But the words particularly connect to our environment. You know, who doesn't fall in love with a beautiful rose and it reminds them of their lover or the special person in their life?
What I was really taken with is, as a composer, a songwriter, I was really taken with the fact that I found like these songs, they tend to be like these beautiful expressions of this gorgeous plant over here. But by the way, it really reminds me of how much I love you. So I think for our glees today, what I'm going to have us start thinking about now is that we can just go and explore the garden, find a leaf or a plant or something that we really like, think about what the shape is, make a couple of lines about the shape, and then in a way just compare it to something that you really love. It doesn't have to be, your undying love for another human. It could just be for, I don't know, strawberry jam, whatever. This one is just like love is yonder rose. There we go. I rest my case. I really like this excessively curly script that goes with it. And I thought we should just learn a little.
I've been reading the gardening press, the 19th century gardening press, and within these publications you see reports of these meetings of these gardeners, and they will always mention which glees. The most other interesting thing about the gardening press is there's always poetry in it, and that is consistent throughout the 19th century. Poems are in the text as, you know, as a key element for everybody to enjoy, and that's surprising. So the poetic element of gardening and what it invigorates from words that we describe the landscape and the gardens with are, you know, really core to gardening, and it becomes quite poetic. So yes, poetry, and, you know, there's no music to a 19th century garden newspaper, but you can see it in the text because the poetry's there, the mention of the glees, and often the text of the glees, which would have, from the readers, they would have recognised that and known what the writer was talking about. So obviously finding these texts, you know, it's the great old eBay, going on eBay, finding books of glees and then trying to match them to what was said in the 19th century press is really lovely, because then you start to see which songs were popular. I mean, as you go into the 20th century, it all gets much more kind of musical based. So the glees that they were singing or having sung at their dinners were, you know, from Gilbert and Sullivan, and, you know, and all these classics. And then when there's wartime, so we've got the Boer War, you've got a lot more wartime songs, because obviously they may well have served, and it will be reminiscent for them. So, you know, it's really interesting seeing the social history that runs through these glees and how that's reflected in, you know, which ones they were choosing to share at these dinners and within their community.
I'm immediately transported, even by this first phrase, just because of the musical idea. And it goes like this. Just like love is yonder rose. Try it. Just like love is yonder rose. Lovely, so that love is yonder rose. It's kind of fast, but there's loads of notes in there, so you could just have a leaf. Leaf, leaf, leaf. Then you're going like that. Leaf is my kind of embellished beauty. So let's just do that one more time.
I think that it's interesting to define a glee, and my perception is that it's a country, a term of the countryside, a ditty, if you like, is another way of putting it. It's a made-up song that perhaps is a choral work that you can then sing in the round, or often the gardeners would sing glees that were to a very common tune. So you might know a song like Greensleeves, as a piece of music like Greensleeves, but you'd put your gardener's glee words to that. So you're mixing cultural things there. You've got your traditional bit of music that everybody maybe heard, but then they're overlaying it with their own interpretive. And again, these might well be regional, and opportunities for further research, and also to celebrate what the Cecil Speak Centre does in terms of traditional song writing and singing, is to look at whether gardeners' glees are actually just songs of the countryside or songs of the period, or whether they're specific to the gardening trade. And I would say that there are certainly some themes and some songs that were sung, for example, when the Gardeners of the Gardeners Benevolent, which was a friendly society set up in 1839 for gardeners, old gardeners, they certainly used these glees at their annual dinners to sing together as a group. Now, they may well have been slightly, you know, with an alcoholic flavour because they'd had a good dinner, but I think the principle was that, yes, let's sing that old song because we know it all so well as brothers, you know, as gardeners, and it would bring back memories. It would, and certainly today, I think, you know, it's been an absolute joy to see the visceral an emotional response to composing a gardener's glee. It really brings out memories for people.
Oh, optional embellishment on the like love. Try it. Like love. I mean, we're just going to channel like kind of inner 19th century gardener, okay? And this is what they're doing is they're pruning, right? One more time from the beginning. Do you feel the flavour of the 19th century gardener now? I mean, who knew this was what Saturday would bring? But it has. Just like love is yours.
You know, these gardeners' glees certainly bring out, emotions that perhaps we hide in our everyday lives, and that's what nature can do. That's what plants and fresh air can do for us. It calms us down. It makes us contemplative, and we find perhaps, sort of traces of our soul again, which has been a wonderful thing to see today, and we've had a fantastic day.
Just like love. Well done. Oh, come on. People haven't just created little kind of pockets of music, they've created stories. And that's probably something that because I've really scratched the surface with the Glees that Francesca has shared with me, is that they're all stories. I mean, music, whatever music is, with or without lyrics, it's story and life and history and those things. And I just love it, how you can be in a room full of people who have no other reason to be together except they saw something that they thought might be a good idea, and by the end of it, actually, there's so much emotional investment and creative investment that comes out of that immediacy. And I think that's like human beings need it. We just need it. We need that creative time and that space to just experiment and play without an agenda, really.
And nature, that seemed to really connect here, didn't it?
So lovely. I mean, just the surroundings. How funny that the sunlight comes out and then it gets a notch even better. But we've all got, even if it's just like, for some people it was what kind of almost funny. It was like, well, there's an olive on an olive tree. That's reminded me I'm hungry, and that spirals into one funny little ditty about needing something to eat. And then for other people, it's like deep memory. Deep memory that's kind of triggered by being in nature, by getting a reminder of the seasons and the cycles of life and all those kind of things. It's super powerful.
Plants do really connect us, don't they? They connect us to people, they connect us to places, they connect us to emotions.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. They're so important, and even just 5 minutes in a green space can restore the soul and bring back happy and sad sad memories. But it's all part of being a human and being able to exist on this planet alongside nature. We are part of it altogether. So it's part of being being a community as well.
I think I can do it with you.
Just my reminder. Okay, right.
Watching them change together, summer to autumn to winter. Years pass, but we're still together, and spring will follow whatever.
Beautiful, I really love it. There's definitely more. There's more at some point when we get a longer songwriting session. This is like got verses and a chorus, but let's learn a little.
I hadn't expected to compose or sing that glee on my Saturday morning. It was inspired by a small Acer tree in the garden. Its leaves turned scarlet. For the past few months, I have been taking my mum, she's 97, to a wonderful park next to the care home where she now lives. Some of the trees are 300 or 400 years old. Mum and I love those trees.
Years pass, but we're still together. Years pass, but we're still together. And spring will follow whatever. And spring will follow whatever. All together, watching them change together. Summer to autumn.
Summer to autumn to winter.
Years pass.
Years Years pass, but we're still together, and spring will follow whatever.
Thank you for listening. If you want to show your support for this podcast via Buy Me a Coffee, then the link is in the show notes or on the website ourplantstories.com. I promise you, your virtual coffee will go towards the podcast, not plants.